All right, welcome to Principles of Management. This is BA140. I'm your instructor and program director, John Forsyth. Now, I wanted to introduce some new components that we're going to be using in this class, this coming block. And so this is the class right here. If you have taken core classes from me before, you'll notice some very, very familiar components. Namely, all of this is still the same. Lecture responses, the assignments, discussions, all of those are all the same. But we are going to be using some components from our publisher McGraw-Hill that is part of their Connect platform. Now, I've tried to make this as simple as possible. There are a couple of places where you have to click a couple of times to get into the content, so we're going to show you all of that. But the two main things. One is the link to the textbook. This means you don't have to come to campus to get your textbook anymore, at least not for this class. You click right here, it takes you to a link that has each of the chapters in a format that's a little more engaging, and I think it's quite a bit of fun. I'll show you that entire thing. I'm just prefacing here. Then for your quizzes and some quiz review exercises, we're also going to be using the Connect platform. Now, you'll notice there's two links in each module, one to the textbook, the other one to either an exam or a quiz. Now, all of these links go to exactly the same place. I have them here as placeholders, as reminders, and for your convenience. But you can click on any of them, it'll take you to the same place. So, click on this. Here's where it takes a couple of clicks to get into it. Clicked on that, load link to textbook, click on Connect, and here you go. You'll notice this is McGraw-Hill Connect platform, and you have 5 modules just like you have in our Canvas course. For each one of them is the same. The only difference is whether it's a quiz or an exam, but I want to show you what this looks like. All right, so looking at these first two links first. There's chapter 12 and chapter 14, the two chapters that we're going to be covering in week 1. I'll show you what those look like here in just a second. I wanted to show you all of these first. Then you have 2 different review assignments. One for chapter 12 and then one for chapter 14. Then you've got the chapter 12 reading quiz and your chapter 14 reading quiz. The whole intent of all of this is to try to help you guys to do better on the quizzes and the tests than what I've seen in the past. Typically, what I assume is that a lot of students use the textbook when it comes time for the quiz, and sometimes that's about it, or just a reference for the assignment, and I end up seeing holes in our understanding. So the textbook in this case will be a lot more interactive, a lot more fun. I'll show you that in a second. And then you'll also have to, if you notice right here, it says prerequisites for this assignment have not yet been fulfilled. To take the reading quiz, you have to complete the chapter 12 review with at least a 90% score. Now, let me draw your attention to this over here. It says attempts remaining, unlimited for these two review assignments. That means you can take these as many times as you want to get that 90% score, and I would suggest taking them just for practice before you take the quiz. If, however, you just take them straight through, you understand the content, this will only take you a couple of minutes to complete. So let me show you that. You have to complete this before you can complete that quiz. That is intended to help you to have a better score on that quiz. So let's take a look at the chapter 12 review. All right, what these are is basically a drag and drop system. Okay, click and drag, I believe they call it. So you have 3 different definitions, 3 different things here. Let's just drag and drop randomly. Now, I've just answered this question. I can do one of 2 things. I'm afraid to move this down just a little bit. There you go. I can either answer and continue. There's 2 questions in this section and 8 questions total. Or I can click right here, check my work. If I click on that, it's going to tell me, in this case, got all 3 of them wrong, and I need to go back and look at it again. Read through this, decide maybe that's there instead. I think that's about right. This is best when you try your best at this and then hit check my work. Don't just move them around and hit check my work over and over again. That will work for this assignment, but this assignment is only worth about 2.5 points. What you're really doing here is preparing for the quiz and then later for the midterm and a final exam. Click on check my work again. Hey, the first one's right, those two are wrong. I need to go back and work on it again. I'm just going to say answer and continue. This one, Tom, Jim, Heather, Ellie. What you would do is hover over them, read, Tom stays after work to do some extra work on the proposal, but doesn't put in for overtime. Is that positive inequity or negative inequity? And you would drag and drop. Again, click on check my work, see how I did. Don't judge me for the fact that I'm not doing these perfectly, I'm doing them randomly. But those two are right, those two are wrong. If I were you, I would be going and saying, okay, what is it that I misunderstood about these two? Let's look at Heather again. Let's look at Ellie again. And let's figure out what's going on and make sure that I understand this. Because the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go on and take the quiz. So I'd rather make the mistakes here than make them on the quiz. Instrumentality, valence, and expectancy. Okay. You can go into, let's try this. And again, you're going to review and just check on all of this stuff. Okay. Again, you can hit on check my work to take a look at what you've done well, and you should go work on this until these are easy. Once you have completed these at 90%, you can then go on and take the test. If you go in, click on references. Sorry, that's not live. This is a way to review and get better on the quizzes. Okay, we can save and exit here. Go back out. So that's those reviews. Once you are done with those and go on to this quiz, you notice I can't even click on that quiz because the prerequisite has not been fulfilled yet. There's also a 120-minute time limit on these quizzes. I believe it's a little bit longer for the midterm exam, but you can see that just by hovering over it. Time limit 120 minutes. You have one attempt, and there's the due date, 9/4. These are not big point total issues. For example, in Module 1, it's 25 points for both of these review questions and the quizzes, but the midterm exam is worth 100 points, which is 10% of your grade. The final is worth 100 points, which is 10% of your grade. These are to prepare you for those. So even though they are small assignments, they're not worth as many points, do not disregard them. These are to prepare you for those, and it helps you to actually understand the material, which will help you in your assignments. Now, moving away from those, let's go take a look at this chapter. Okay, chapter 12. A lot of people have issues when they start talking about ebooks or e-textbooks or things like that. This is going to be kind of fun. All right, so the first time you're into it, it says, welcome to SmartBook. Click on Show Me. It goes through its own, introduction to things. Basically, yellow, you need to focus on it. Green looks like you already know what you're talking about. Okay, and I'll show you about that. You can go through this on your own time when you get there. All right, I'm just going to appear as anonymous. Fine. Okay, here's the textbook. If you were to pull open a paper textbook right now, this is what you would see for this. Now, as we move on, you'll notice these are here. We're going to move just to the next page, talking about things. What's this down here? I've actually already highlighted the things that you need to be focusing on. Okay, as you move through this, and you'll be reading, here's extrinsic and intrinsic rewards. Let's keep going here. Content perspectives, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you'll be using that in week 1. 5 levels of needs with Maslow, David McClellan, acquired needs theory. They're all already highlighted. So if you're pressed for time, which I know you all are, focus on the highlighted stuff first. Now, how do you know if you're actually understanding this? You want to score well on the test, you want to score well on the quizzes, you want to score well on the assignments. Well, look down here. Practice. This gives you, you've got 20 questions in this case, 20 questions to test your knowledge of this stuff. Now, this is fun. I've actually done this. This is fun times. But true or false? We're just going to try one. When punishing an employee, it is best to give out disciplinary action as soon as possible after the undesirable behavior. I'm going to say true. And then you have to click on one of these and say, you know what, I'm fairly positive. I'm going to say I know it. If you weren't that positive, you'd say I think so. We're going to say I know it. All right. All right. So I am right. Good job, whatever. If you had this wrong, or if you're curious about it, click on read about this. Let's take you right to that point. Positive reinforcement, punishments, things like that, takes you right to that spot in the textbook. Your paper textbook will not do that. Let's go back to the questions. We'll say, okay, this next one. What's important to Marie in the workplace is to be in charge, to be top dog. This reflects which of the following needs identified by McClellan's, notice his stuff a second ago, his acquired needs theory. We're going to say power. I'm not really sure about that. Somebody can say, think so. We're right. Let's get one wrong here. Power that is used as a means to further organizational goals is known as, say, personal power, and say, I'm perfectly certain. Sorry, we're incorrect. Well, what do you mean I'm incorrect? Let's look at where it talks about this. McClellan identifies two forms of the need for power, personal and institutional. Notice right above this, these three needs has turned green. This used to be yellow, now it's green. That's because I answered questions about it correctly. So as you're going through this textbook, it's going to be trying to tell you, hey, you know, this stuff actually looks like you're doing okay. This, on the other hand, you need to keep working on. The yellow you need to keep working on. Okay, we can go back and forth. Okay, try another one, think I know it. Oh, I'm wrong. Okay, all the way back around. And then to go back to just read about this stuff, just click on read down here. Now, this does a lot of other things too, stuff that we don't have time in just 15 minutes to show you, in that it'll even talk to you. If you are going through the practice stuff and you start getting beyond where you've read, it'll actually tell you, if you have your sound on, hey, you're getting into stuff that you haven't read about. Maybe you should go back and read the text. Or, you know, you should work on this a little bit more. Or, hey, you've been reading for a while, why don't you try practicing? It's quite a bit of fun. And hopefully will allow you to kind of get a better handle on some of this material so that your assignments are better, your quizzes are better, your exams are better, your grades are better, and you learn more. So, highlights on the text. It highlights everything. I mean, the things that I think you need to cover are actually highlighted in yellow. You have the practicing that you can do down here. They'll allow you to test your mastery of it, including references back and forth, and if you do something right, then it'll then turn green. See, you can hear her talking. Now, you could continue, they're not going to stop you, but it's also a warning to say, hey, you know what, you probably don't know this, go back and read it first. Ideally, you'd read it first, then practice, then come back and brush up on things. Okay, far more interactive, and it can be quite a bit of fun. A couple of small things you can do. You can move the pages down here. You can make the text bigger or smaller. There's your practice. You can turn off the highlights if those are bugging you right there. And we go back and forth with this textbook. So, sorry. Now right over here, if you hit that menu up there, say leave SmartBook, and we go back to the course. So what we have here on this link that we take you to, there's both of the textbook links to each chapter, your reading reviews, your reading quizzes. Same thing in Module 2, chapters, reviews, quizzes. In week 3 and week 5, there's an exam, midterm and then final. You have 3 chapters, then you have 3 reviews, and then you take the midterm exam. Okay, that's the only real difference for any of these modules. Okay, that is the end of this presentation. If you have any questions, which I'm sure there will be, please let me know. Thanks.